Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we'll be doing a gardens tour of the property. This is week 2 for this season of garden tours. I'll be starting off in the front, so let's go ahead and just get into it. The dianthus on the corner is now in full bloom, looking glorious, putting on a lot of splash of color where we need it desperately. Since the red rhododendron is now completely finished, we got a microburst thunderstorm just twice today, so it knocked a lot of the petals down around the ground, which I kind of like seeing those petals on the ground. The allium are not blooming yet. There's one that's popping up. Look at that. It is real close to flowering. I think that's going to be white. These ones are white, the smaller ones. We'll see what happens. The yucca is starting to put on a little shoot, big shoot. Yucca is a biannual bloomer. It's a perennial, but it blooms every other year. But since we have such an old yucca there with multiple stumps, ours blooms every year. Coming over this way, we got some Canta Lilies coming up, which is good to see. This one got frosted, but it's been fighting its way all the way through and get up here. This one's just starting. Trying to make this into like a tropical looking area, but big failure last year. See what happens this year. Over here the peonies are starting to, they are ready to open, but maybe with this big rain we just had, we'll probably have a big push of growth and buds opening up. Right here I plugged in, I believe this is an apple gourd or a dipper gourd. The other one I plugged in, you can see right here, it got completely eaten off, which is great. So I have big plans for this tree, but we'll see. That might all be gone. Dreams dashed. Coming over here, the datura is putting on some nice flowers. Should be blooming here in a couple days. I want to show off my mailbox trellis because this thing is just looking great. All the way to the top, full of buds, ready to bloom. The new addition out here would be 22 Jaguar Marigolds going all the way down the dead stump line. Hopefully that'll add some nice color to it. I had giant nasturtiums there last year, but I went with the marigolds this year because I think they're going to last longer and hold up to the frost a little bit better towards the end of the season. Now we have Rose of Sharon's all out here, but 2 of them, including this centerpiece one, did not come back this year. Not exactly sure why, but another one right in there is dead. So instead of replacing it, I'm going to cut it out, and I already put in this black lace elderberry from Proven Winners. Now this is a pretty big plant. It can be, it says spacing 7 to 11 feet, and the size is 6 to 10 feet tall and wide. Got a broken branch. Look at that. It's got a nice Japanese maple type of lacy leaf, but it'll get a lot bigger, a lot quicker, and it has flowers. So it's even better than Japanese maple. It's my centerpiece now, and I like it. Hump up. Beside that, the Castor Bean is looking good. I think it's taken hold, and it's going to be a pretty big plant this year too. It's an annual though. Some more Jaguar Marigolds are all the way down the line. This one has a nice little bloom. You can see from this angle, the Empress is leafing out beautifully. This is such a nice fast growing tree. I love it. I love it. Full all the way to the top. If you grow an Empress, just be aware you will get suckers shooting up from the ground and the sides, and you'll have to go ahead and manage them as they come up. If you got branches where you don't want branches, just go ahead and bust them off while they're small. But you got to keep up with it because they keep coming. Now this is going to look a little different from the last time we walked around this corner because we got the corner garden planted out. Got my walking path. Not quite. I didn't do anything, but that's the path that I walk in. Starting on the left side here, we have Black-Eyed Susan with some yellow flowers and a Blue Jean Baby Russian Sage sitting next to a Blue Star Juniper. Blue Star Juniper will give it all winter interest, and then I have blue and yellow color scheme going on here with Blue Jean Baby Russian Sage, 3 more, and then I have a Sarah Smile Yellow Rose right there. This one is a Sea of Gold Juniper for some more interest in the winter. Behind that I have a Rudbeckia, I think is Yellow Indian Summer Rudbeckia or Black-Eyed Susan. Keep the scheme going across. And in the back I have a Blue Muffin Viburnum, Arrowwood Viburnum from Proven Winners. It is blooming right now. And to show you what the berries might look like in the fall, crystal blue. I moved the big leaf red hydrangea over to that spot and brought the blue one, which was tucked up right there, over here to this side of the red bud. Under the red bud I put in some Paradise Vista petunias to maybe spread out and add a nice big splash of color down here where the red bud's lacking. Now what I'm really happy to show you is this row right here. Nice edged yard to a nice composted row around Castle Spire hollies with limelight hydrangeas in between. It's 5 hollies, 4 hydrangeas. And I think that is going to be beautiful once those hydrangeas start blooming and the hollies get big. Very happy to get that row in this year. On the end of the row, it is capped off with a beautiful, beautiful Scotch broom in a profuse bloom stage right now. Look at all the colors and the density of all these flowers. Gorgeous. Down here is a Mount Laurel, which is in the rhododendron style family, or the rhododendrons in the laurel family, either one. But it has a nice narrower leaf with frillier looking flowers, so it gives a nice contrast to rhododendrons. The irises are blooming here, putting on a little bit of color here. I thought there were some alliums. I planted probably 20 alliums in this bed here behind the irises. And look, I might have like 1. I don't even know what that is. No, they didn't do very well. Just like my grass. Still waiting on my grass to come up. In the perennial bed here, we have a little bit of color actually. Very faintly, you can see my Hearty Gladiolas are a little early on the bloom, but they are blooming. Got a pink one right there, very spindly and weak. And then we have a little purple one over here, purplish pink. These Hearty Gladiolas are a lot smaller and delicate compared to my larger seasonal Gladiolas. Down here by the foxgloves, they are just starting to open up. Got a couple foxgloves going into bud right here. That'll be a nice splash of color eventually. Down below those, I have poppies, successfully sown some California poppies in here. Hopefully those will flower and spread out. Sorry, got a truck. Sorry, we had a truck going by. So the foxglove are just starting to add some color. Hearty Gladiolas are just coming into some color, which we desperately need in the perennial bed here. Golden Spirea is starting to flower, it looks like. Starting to bud out. And just below my feet here are some pokeweed. That's pokeweed. That's pokeweed. The rest of this is hibiscus coming in. But back here we have a new addition. Behind the Leotris, we have a ligustrum. Nope, it's not a ligustrum, it's a ligularia. Ligularia the rocket. Should be spiked yellow flowers. We'll see how that one does later. Spirea starting to bud. Yep, you can see tiny little buds on there. That should be coming into flower. As well as my carnations. They're starting to put on some buds as well. This is a Cleopatra lily, which is definitely a different type of flower and head here. Haven't seen anything like this before. My hollyhocks here are getting eaten by slugs, but they're starting to take off. Last year they kind of just sat idle, like a foot tall. They made it all the way through the winter, still green, and now they're really starting to put on some height. Should get a nice bloom this year. I have 2 ostrich ferns in the back there, I don't think I mentioned. They should get about 4 to 6 feet tall. Over here, to keep the balance going, I have a yellow Scotch broom, just coming out of flower because it has some greenhouse effect. You see the rain blew all my daffodils over. But the Taurus Rhododendron is coming into flower, which has a very nice black and red, hot pink contrast there. It won't get nearly as big as the beautiful purple rhododendrons over here. In here I'll show you the rhododendron since it's in full bloom. And it's looking nice in here, a nice little cove of color underneath the lilac tree. And the Chinese snowball bush is pretty much done with its color. I'm going to get in there and prune that here this week, I think. And maybe it'll put on a better show next year. You can see the phlox in there starting to color up purple. Should get some white in there as well. Over here, my staging area is still pretty full of plants that still need to go out, and some extras. Puppy's following me around. Oh buddy, oh buddy. Over here is some more staged flowers waiting to go out. Be getting a lot out this next weekend. Got some petunias and gazanias blooming. And some more marigolds, some daisies, African daisies, calendula, zinnias, coleus. Got a bunch of stuff still needs to go out. The color's pretty much gone with the irises around the greenhouse. The ramp bed's starting to fill out with the pink. I added a marigold and some more snapdragons around this edge. But these snapdragons are really starting to bloom. Got a nice deep red to them. Dark foliage with the red I think looks beautiful. Also with the pink. I could probably start picking some of these. This one right here looks prime to be a cut flower. As does this one. Nice tall stem. Prime to be a cut flower. I might cut a few of these, but I really grow them to have the color where I planted them. The rose bed is actually starting to come into flower. The yellow ones here are still wrapped up tight. Just beautiful. Got tons of flowers on that yellow one. I got my clematis, sweet autumn clematis, and I just got this trellis for it to climb up and cover up the downspout. That'll be nice there. We got some thunderstorms and rain, heavy rain. That downspout's clogged, so I had to put this metal shield here because it really just hammers the soil down here, floods it. This is a drift rose, which is, I don't remember what kind it is, but you can see it's a beautiful orange. It's also a fragrant rose. Smells great. A little less fragrance here after the rain, but still. Put it right on the corner there so I can always stop and smell the roses. Up here we have the red and the orange. Get a little bit less sunshine so they're not ready to bloom yet. I got some more plants, the red azalea, and a bunch of plants to be still going out into the landscape. My Cleveland flowering pear tree fell over in the wind. We got storm just before I started this. I threw some of these potted freesia inside here just to get an idea if I wanted to plant them there. I think I'm going to. I got to cut back the daffodils and then go ahead and sink those down in there. My rain gauge is new. Bought the rain gauges from Walmart, and then I screwed it onto a 4x4 that I angle cut and stained. So you can see we got just over 2 inches of rain, which is a pretty good bit. Look at my columbine. I'm gonna take you down there. The columbine is still looking beautiful. Long lasting blooms on this. You can see some of them are already falling off, especially from the wind, but just beautiful. I'm gonna keep one. There's 2 bare roots here. I'm gonna keep one here, and then I'm gonna put the other over in the island so it can spread and naturalize a little bit more. Just beside it is the profuse bloomer, glorious lupine. Lupine, I don't care what you call it, but it is beautiful. I'm standing at eye level right now. It's on a bank, but still, look at this. Beautiful. I'm not even going to count how many colas and flowers are on this because it doesn't matter. It's full. Look at the color scheme. I got blues, the pinks, the purples, and I got bees all over it. I love it. Love it. I'm going to go ahead and get some of the seeds off this, plant them, grow them, so I can get a hedge of these out front for next year. Just love this plant. If you're looking for a extremely good self-seeding blue flower, Chinese forget-me-not is your plant. You can see it is all through my garden bed, and it's starting to bloom. So we're gonna let this go ahead and bloom this week, and then it all gets ripped out so we can plant up the whole bank, because the bank is still looking pretty dead. Trying to get all the food planted, all the vegetable starts and whatnot in the ground, anything that's going to be blooming for the summer before I go ahead and work on flowers. Speaking of food, the cold frame is no longer cold, but it's full. And my what is this? What is this stuff? My arugula. Arugula is starting to bolt, go to flower, because I haven't been picking it, didn't like the taste. So if you don't like the taste, you don't really come back for more, do you? Everything's looking good in here. I probably have some radishes, yeah. I have some radishes I could pick. But what I'm more concerned with, oh, I got weeds in here too. I got a lot of grassy weeds in here for some reason. But I want some carrots. Where the heck are my carrots? Barely getting any size on these carrots. It's a bummer. Over at the poppy bed, we're getting some more blooms. They're all closing up, and they're actually, you can see they're all beat up from the rain and the wind, but there's plenty more to follow it. They'll just keep opening up and shutting during the night. Over here, the dahlia. This is a Myrtle's Folly dahlia. It made it through the winter, but it's a little bit more protected here. I got spearmint, baby rose nasturtium, and I believe that's my lemon basil in there, in that pot. The 9 bark is in full bloom right now, looking glorious. This is the one time of year it really looks good and actually covers the spot it's supposed to. Over here on the corner, my hibiscus pot's looking pretty good. I went ahead and replaced the dead blue fescue that was right there, and then I cut out the dead spot that the dogs pee on from that one, so it looks a little bit better. The coral bells and petunias and portulaca, you can see they're starting to stand up and add some growth. So this pot's really starting to fill out, looking good under the red hibiscus, which also starting to put on some, also starting to put on some buds. So that's nice to see. It's covered in buds actually. It really is reacting well to the repotting I did with a little bit bigger pot, which is nice. Bring you over to my flower pots along the driveway. I wanted to call it Flower Alley, but I don't think it's as impressive as that phrase. Either way, we'll see how it grows. I got 2 Vista bubblegums petunias in each pot, going all the way down for some consistent color. And then in the center focal point of each pot is a Canta Lily, but they alternate orange, red, orange, red, orange, red. The orange one has dark foliage, so I put a lime green sweet potato with it. And the red Canta has light foliage, so I put a dark sweet potato vine with it. So hopefully that's going to add some nice contrast and color going along the driveway. It already is with the petunias because they're such a bright, vibrant color. Really stick out. I like it. What do you think, pup? What do you think, pup? Over here at the pergola that we didn't stop at last time because there wasn't much going on, Got my walking path in, just some old fence boards that I cut down just so people know where to walk if they're coming through here. I don't want them stepping on my stuff. I have some gladiolas that overwintered and survived. A little run right there. Now, if you saw my video of my dahlia disaster, you know I lost dozens of dahlias out here. But I do have some actually sprouting. I got like 3 out of 3 dozen. So it's not a complete failure. Not a complete failure. But to take up some space, I put a bullet head wax melon out here from Baker Creek, as well as a Crespo squash from Baker Creek. Just to fill out the area, make sure it doesn't look dead. I just want to see some life out here. Along the outside of the pergola, I have some melons. This is a potato cucumber, never grown before, but I'm going to give it a try. 2 cucumber melons, Mexican sour gherkins, got from M.I. Gardner. Those I grew last year and I really liked them, really enjoyed them, so I'm going to give them some more space this year. I'm growing 2 up this pergola for some eating, and I'll be growing them some other places as well. The other 2 here are jelly melons, horned jelly melons, spiky fruit. Never grown it before, but it looks different and weird, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. Over here are my climbing gourds. First one I believe is an apple gourd, and then that might be a martin birdhouse gourd. These 2 are dipper gourds, and this one is another apple gourd. They all look the same right now, but they're going to climb and cover this whole entire lattice. I need to go ahead and germinate some birdhouse gourds and my long gourd. I need to get those started and planted so they actually have a chance to grow. We actually have had some warm weather here for spring, but looking at the 10-day forecast, the next week is kind of going to drop into like 40 degrees, which is kind of cold for gourds. They don't like cold weather, but they want a long growing season. So it's a little bit of fighting between the two, of getting them in early enough to grow and produce and getting them in late enough so they like the weather that they're planted in. On the front right post here, I have silver lace vine. I'm trying to keep on the post and not onto my trellis on the top or the lattice, but it is a vigorous grower. It just keeps wanting to spread, as does the honeysuckle that I have here. It is completely covered in buds ready to flower. You see all those? It's going to be a nice pretty show here real quick. In the background there you can see some broccoli and some more broccoli and cabbage, pak choi going to flower over there. I might get a cabbage broccoli head, we'll see. This peony I dug up, it's giant. I dug it up in mid bud, planted it here, and might have lost some buds, but hopefully I still get a couple to flower. Been dumping water on it, plus it's been raining and it's mulched very heavily. I just hope I got enough of the root ball to keep it alive. The last vine here is a red trumpet vine, and it's looking pretty healthy. The birdhouses on the tops are occupied. Well, this one is. I don't know about this one. This one was occupied for a while, but you can see how it's so open. I think the predators got to that one. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to bring you out to the food forest and show you what's going on. Some of it looks the same, but there is some things that are changing out here. Starting with one of the entrances, I got 3 entrances to the food forest I'm trying to frame out here. You can see we got tons of fungal activity. The mushrooms are growing great. These are big too. That's a big stocky mushroom. They're not poisonous, and they don't hurt any of the plants. There's nothing wrong with having mushrooms. It's actually beneficial to have a mycorrhiza association in your soil. So that's all a good sign. This little triangle here is going to be a marigold patch, just for some color. It looks like I have some germination. Anybody know? They look like they're growing. So they're liking this rainy weather we're getting here. Behind that is a full bloom Pyracanthia. Try and zoom in. Nice tiny delicate blooms will turn into bright orange berries for the fall. To the left of those we have 2 early girl tomatoes and a cabbage, which are not showing much signs of growth yet, but they're still healthy and taking hold. Same with the other tomato row. Not a lot going on with them yet. I'm still trying to get them to up to the second run. I'm probably going to have to add a string here just along the bottom, weave them through so I can hold them up better, and maybe they'll stretch taller quicker if I hold them up. Coming to this side, the nectarines looking full. Look how full. I don't think I got any berries started. Not berries, but any fruit started on this. It flowered this year, but I don't think I'm going to get any production out of it. The pink azalea is still holding on, adding some color to the food forest, which I'm enjoying. The Rutgers tomatoes are looking fine. This is huckleberry, garden huckleberry, and it's starting to flower there. It's kind of small, but it's still flowering. Tomatillos are starting to flower here. I actually got one little husk started. A little baby tomatillo starting, which is nice to see. Come over here, I'll show you what's really going on. That is Buried Treasure pink strawberry, and it is putting on some fruit. Looks like this one has a rotted spot on it already. We'll see what happens. Cabbage and the pak choi look good. It's already flowered. I just let it go. Hoping to bring in some pollinators for the strawberries with those. Oh, swing you over here. You can see that there's nothing to see. My lima beans and my blue lake bush beans did not come up at all. I soaked them for 24 hours like they told me to, but got no success there. I'm gonna have to re-sow all my beans. Down at my feet I have a Black Beauty zucchini. I did get this in here, as with planted some chives next to it, just to try and keep the squash bugs away with different smells. Over on this end I have a yucca planted there next to a spineless perfection zucchini and another little spot of chives. I'll probably plant a calendula or something in with the zucchini to bring in the pollinators and ward off the aphids. I'll bring you over here to the red strawberry bed. It's got some fruit and some weeds. Gotta do some weeding in here. But you can see there's some fruit. There's fruit. I think this strawberry bed looks pretty good for being a one strawberry plant from Walmart last year. Went ahead and cut them up, divvied them up, spread them out all through the bed. So now I have a full strawberry bed for $10. Got to cover it up to keep all these helicopter maple seeds out of the bed so they don't keep sprouting up, because it is right below this massive silver maple. Out here the ground cherries are starting to take hold and put on some growth. I'm thinking I probably shouldn't have cut them in half, but it's too late, I already did. This one died and that one died, which it actually kind of thinned them out, which I'm not too mad about those two dying, because it kept it even on each side. I have Aunt Molly's ground cherry here, and then I just have pineapple ground cherry, I think it is, on that side. Puppy, go ahead and walk right through it. Don't worry about my garden. But that thinned them out, so I think it's still going to be nice and even. Bring you over and show you the current situation is just starting out, putting on a lot of berries here. Can't wait to eat these. These were good last year, slightly sour, but we're gonna get some good berries off of those two little plants. A new start is my okra. My okra did soak for 24 hours and then I planted it, and my okra is coming up. I have spineless okra and long pod okra, and I got pretty good germination with the long pod. Just gonna circle here real quick, show you the peppers are still standing. Tomatoes are still alive. Got my bell peppers over there, they're up. And the hot peppers are looking a little spindly and weak, but they're still healthy and alive. I just need to stand them up. Unfortunately, the red Russian pomegranate tree did not make it through the winter. Gonna need a new pomegranate tree. Well, that's unfortunate. But fortunately, the blueberries made it through, and it looks like they're putting on some blueberries. It's good to see. I'd like to get some blueberries this year. I got 4 plants of blueberries. Had 5, and 2 of them died, and then I got a new one this year. So we'll see. I got them all started. I got all the berries I need. They're just not old enough yet to really start producing. Here is my herb garden. You can go ahead and check out the video about the herb garden, how I planted that, and its identical pot, sister pot in the vegetable garden. This is the Indigo Gem Haskap berry, and I believe it has some berries on it if I can find one. There she is. There is a Haskap berry. It's a little bit longer, a little bit more tart sour than a blueberry, but I really like that a lot better than blueberries, really. So I'm planning on getting 2 more of those so I can get some more germination. Speaking of success, Poppy, check out these potatoes. My Kennebec potatoes are coming up. I was real worried about these. Some grass coming up too. Real worried about these, putting them in the compost while it's still a little warm, but it looks like we are getting some pretty good germination, or I don't even know. It's not really germination. I guess it could be. I don't know. Getting some potatoes popping up through the straw, which is good to see. They're still coming up, and I got a good row going on down here. Still waiting on the last set, which was Harvest Gold, but we'll see. Keep an eye on them. I'm glad to get this many potatoes though. Never actually grown potatoes before, so still getting a successful amount of potatoes, I believe. We'll follow Puppy out here so I can show you my Eastern Red Cedar, which I thought was dying a little bit over the winter, but looks like it rebounded and put on a lot of nice growth. It should get berries once it's older, but I like it. It's a nice green color, especially compared to the nice hemlock hedge I have it capped on. I like it. It's alive and doing well. Going through up to the barn corner here, I want to show you my beautiful 12-foot, 1-year-old Empress. Look at that glorious piece of tree. I planted this from a flake of pepper sized seed last year in, I think, December, and grew it in a pot inside, put it outside, and this is 1 year old. Now you can see all the green leaves. That will be its 2nd year of growth, branching out, but it made it straight up 12 feet, and now the 2nd year of growth it's going to start branching out. It's the world's fastest growing tree, and it's not leaving me disappointed. I got it cornered with 2 Thuja Green Giants, which are supposed to be very fast growing evergreens, but we'll see what's happening with them. They're 2 years old, 2nd year growing now. It's good to see that our maple that we transplanted survived. Still holding up, didn't fall down in the winds we had, and it's staying alive. Such a big impact to put a 20-foot tree in. Over here you can see some white flowers, and what these white flowers are black raspberries. You got black raspberry flowers, and you got Jaguar bush dog rose flowers. That is a Jaguar bush. You want to get rid of that. But you can keep all these pretty white black raspberry flowers. Both have Jaguars and thorns on them. It's a bramble, but these ones produce delicious berries. Right around July, we'll be picking some of these berries off this weed patch here. My parents planted those berries probably about 25 years or so ago, and we're still picking some berries. We've never actually picked any berries off of that thing. They brush hogged them like right after they planted them and never actually got anything from them. I realized a year or two ago that they're still growing up there on the weed line, so I'm gonna try and pick them this year. But yeah, hopefully we'll still get some berries, even though those aren't ones I planted. Down here, beside this other beautiful rhododendron blooming, full bloom right now, we have a new addition to the island out here. This is a Victoria rhubarb. I've planted at least 3 or 4 of the bare root rhubarbs, and they all died. Never got any of them to take. So I bought a full living rhubarb plant and put it in the ground, and hopefully I can keep that one alive. Over here the Japanese maple is surviving. We got a volunteer sunflower, which is always nice to see. And I need to prune this gold globe arborvitae because this purple iris is beautiful and I want to see it better. Nice purple, lavender, yellow throat iris. Getting gobbled up. Got to prune that baby back. Behind that we have a corn cob or corn stalk, candy corn, Spirea. It's just starting to bud up, little pink buds. It's a nice color contrast with like the lime green, yellowish with the pink blooms. I like it. The Pomegranate Yarrow actually took a foothold now, so it's starting to bloom. It was struggling there for a while. I had it where the candy corn was. It wasn't getting enough sun, so I moved it to this side of the path, and it's doing a little bit better. That porcupine grass is in the center there. I'm hoping that thing doesn't get gobbled up by all the hellebores. I want it to kind of sprout up a little bit taller there and add some color contrast here by the bird bath. Down here on the corner I put an English daisy. It was hard. I tried to put it over here in the front and I couldn't find a space under this maple tree, heavily rooted maple tree, but I found a spot for it, so that looks good there. I got these succulent type things. You can see a spent bloom right there. Not sure what they're called, but they're little succulent types and they have a pretty bloom. They're just tiny little flowers. There's one there and one there. So hopefully next tour maybe they'll be blooming and I can show you what the bloom looks like. Over here is my purple sprouting broccoli. Not sprouting anything purple, but the irises are looking beautiful right now. Get a nice pan shot of the mound here, the rock mound, poppy running in the back. Picturesque right there, look at that. Professional film person. Now pop. Got a lot of color on the rock mound now. Got the orange iris, yellow iris, and my wavy petunia that survived is now blooming. Glorious. Love it. It's crazy how that thing's already so big and blooming, and it started all on its own. Got a nice orange iris in the back there as well. Good splash of color. The scarlet runner bean is trying to climb that trellis right there, and the sweet peas are, I don't know, sweet peas or sweet peeing. The purple alliums, giant purple alliums, they're pretty much spent, putting on seeds now. But coming up right behind them, see if I can get a good one. Get the spent purple alliums. Coming up right behind them are the little white alliums. A little curly on that one. Little white alliums are coming in next, so it's nice to have the color scheme keep going. A red iris is a late bloomer. The Lucifer red iris, that should be putting on blooms, but maybe it's a little bit later than the yellows. We also have a white one over here with some purple inside. And then my variegated purple iris is not doing much at all. Maybe it's going to be a later bloomer as well. Now this hosta has this big old leaf type plant coming out of it, and it looks like it's putting on some bloom stalks. I planted a blue sea Rigium, yeah, one of those, and boom, some weeds out here. That wasn't a weed. That was clearly a lily. Clearly a lily. Let me put that back. But I'm wondering if that is the sea holly Erigium thing that just came back a year later. I already put a hosta in its place though, so we'll see. See what that blooms. We have the Asiatic lilies coming right behind the irises, ready to keep color flowing on the rock mound here. I think that just looks really good right now, and over the years it's just going to keep looking better. Probably going to spread these yellow irises out across the front so they're not in such big clumps, but I still think it's looking real good. Okay, I'm going to take you down to the vegetable garden because we have some new additions down there as well. At least 50 or more plants went into the vegetable garden this week, and I have a lot of peas. Wait till you see these peas. Yes, that is all giant hedge of peas, and these are all volunteers. I didn't plant any of these this year, but I am going to get to harvest them. It is about a 20-foot hedge of 4-foot tall peas that are just all coming into bloom right now. Pretty pink blooms. Like I said, these are all volunteers, so I didn't have to plant any of them, and they look like they're putting on a beautiful show over here. Really glad they are doing what they do best. That's the pea hedge we were just looking at on the back side of the pumpkin patch. Pumpkin patch still pretty empty because my pumpkin's just starting out. I don't actually have one yet. Over here you can see I do have brassicas. My cabbages are looking pretty good. They're growing out, starting to form a center. The broccoli is doing okay, and the cauliflower is actually getting pretty big back there. I don't have any flower buds starting on those yet. I'm not sure. I've never really grown any brassica before besides kale, and I didn't really do much to grow that last year. Here are the new additions where I have all the holes burned. This is a yellow squash here, and I'll probably put yellow squash seeds there. That's a black beauty zucchini, and I'll probably put zucchini seeds there and seed the rest. Up here I have 6 sweet banana peppers along this left side, and then they're spaced at a foot because I have the holes in the PVC pipe as a foot. And then right here I have a shiku eggplant. Never grown an eggplant before. I'll give that a try this year. I've heard you're supposed to top this thing and get it to send out 2 shoots and then train both shoots up the trellis, but we'll see. I'll have to do some research on that. Spread out all through here is basil, all through the tomatoes and cucumbers. Right here you can see my big enemy right now, cucumber beetle, crawling up my cucumber. Oh, there's another one. I'm gonna have to treat these cucumbers before they turn them all into lace. Those cucumber beetles really beat up all my stuff. Big problem with them. I have a early hybrid cucumber in this hole and a straight 8 cucumber in that hole. I'm gonna train them up vertically. The white Tomasol tomato, pineapple tomato, brandywine, and 2 Brad's Atomic grape tomatoes will also be trained up the trellis, main-lined, single-stemmed. Over there you can see some more peas, volunteer peas climbing up. All the peas grew up last year on the asparagus trellis, and that's what volunteered the rest of what we just saw. You can see all the asparagus starting to fern out, putting on some growth, pulling in some energy, starting to flower. So we'll let those go, and then we'll cut them down before they put on their berries, because you don't want them to put on their asparagus berries or seeds, because that's just going to steal energy from the roots. Let them go ahead and flower, get all the energy from their ferns, and then cut them back so all the energy gets shot straight back into the roots for the next following spring. Garlic ain't much to look at. I'm still garlicking over here too, but look at that salad. Beautiful. Got a bunch of salad I'll be able to harvest tonight or in the morning. I could have harvested it already, but I wanted to get it on film for the weekly tour of how good it was doing and looking. So I'll harvest that pretty here soon. The brassicas and kale, everything's doing good. The chard's looking good too. My onions are standing up nice and straight. I'm loving the view of those onions. Over there I put in a national pickling cucumber. It was a little lanky. I just threw it in. I'm probably going to plant some cucumber seeds in here to succession that cucumber. The bunching onions are doing great. I could probably harvest one or some of these bunching onions. The radishes are starting to come in as well, which is always good. Can't grow enough radishes so far. Been picking them and picking them and picking them. Over here is a root vegetable bed, I guess. I got 3 rows of radishes to start. That's royal purple, cherry bell, and French dressing. And then I have atomic red and scarlet Nance carrots sown in there. You can see they're coming up. Got a couple rows of those. I have 12 of these purple kohlrabi, and they all germinated beautifully. My beets didn't germinate too well. I did get some. You can see some are coming up. So I had some starts that I just plugged in where none of the seeds germinated. The golden turnips all germinated perfectly, 100%. And then the Danvers 126 are starting to come in. So it looks like I successfully germinated all my carrots, radishes, beets, and kohlrabi and turnips in this bed without covering them. I had to water them 2-3 times a day, but it was worth it. Now down here I have some red wing onions in bunches for salads, and then I have them all spread out for bulbing onions. Got red and white sweet Spanish. These are all the extra onions. That's a lot of onions, but I'm gonna start learning how to cure and store the onions for the winter, and the garlic and everything else, so I can start learning how to be a little bit more food sufficient. Now you haven't seen this in the last video, so I'll go ahead and get a full view here. This is the new raised bed with a little keyhole entrance. It's empty so far, except for this side. I have some more onions planted in there in bunches for salads. Then on the very end here I have fennel, which is a group of 3, a group of 2, and a single fennel. So I'm going to go ahead and see how these grow, if sowing them in a group is any better or worse. Then that's a nice soft fennel. But I'm going to see if multi-sowing fennel is even a good idea or not. Here is a nasturtium, giant nasturtium from the front. Volunteered out by my marigold row, and I did not want that, so I dug it up while I was planting the marigolds, and I stuck it back here in my bed, and it can go ahead and do its thing on the corner right beside my Aunt Molly's ground cherries. You can see they're trying to put on some cherries. I don't know if those will amount to anything yet, but I got some basil in between my other ground cherry, and I have an Ace 55 cherry tomato in right here. So I'll have a nice little picking area, hand picking area, because I also have a lunchbox orange sweet snacking pepper right there for hand picking in the garden. On the corner I threw in a Calendula officinalis for aphids and color and pollinator attracting. Here is the sister herb pot that I was talking about. This one has the core in it and the other one does not. So far I haven't had to water or even see anything about the watering because it's been raining. So I need to come in here and go ahead and prune some of this off so it looks a little better. But I'm a busy person, so I just want to throw it in the ground and leave it. Over here, the garlic's doing good. I got a volunteer sunflower, which is always welcome. Always take a volunteer sunflower. Gladiolas are coming up in here. The Asiatic lilies are up. And I have that's a butterfly bush. And it's probably going to do just fine this year. I do have a lot of empty space though, and that's because my dahlias are dead. They all died. They're not coming up ever again. So I need to figure out something different down here. I planted a replacement elephant ear tree in that spot because the elephant ear I left over winter died and turned to mush. And there's another volunteer sunflower. You are welcome, buddy. You stay here and grow. Now I'll bring you out and just give you a quick view of what I got planted out on the squash mound this past week. I did get 2 of my watermelons in. They're red crimson sweet watermelons there. I wanted to plant 1 plant along each jug. I got a sunflower I planted right there. I planted some sunflowers across the top of this. Hopefully they'll take. But I wanted to plant 1 plant like this. This is the butternut squash by each jug, and then just water the jug, and that'll slow feed my plant so I don't have to stand here and deep water. But I had too many plants, so I ended up starting to put 2 plants next to each pot, next to each jug, and I ended up putting 40 squash, watermelon, and gourds down this mound. I don't have enough water jugs, so I need to get some more water jugs, and I got some more pumpkins to be planted down there. They all look the same right now, all tiny. Some of them are more eaten than the others because, like I said, the cucumber beetles were out here. They were just crushing my all of them. Look at this blue Hubbard squash. It's notorious for being loved by all the bugs, and that is definitely ringing true. I clearly need to plant a new blue Hubbard squash. That's not coming back. See, I have it ended here, but I have plenty of space to add some more. These are probably going to be my backup Deal's Atlantic Giant pumpkins. On the very end here, I have my Big Max pumpkin, which doesn't get a water jug for no reason at all, except I don't have enough water jugs at this time. Just to show you out my tree line, bald cypress looking good. But down my tree line here, we had another casualty. Not really casualty, but unfortunate circumstances. This is a black gum tupelo tree, and it looks pretty dead. But if you come all the way down here, signs of life. Super unfortunate that this tree is restarting from the bottom. So instead of having the 6-foot tree I bought, bare root from Tai Nursery, I now have a 1-foot started off from the trunk with a horrible branching structure. Yeah. My river birch that I got for like $7 at Walmart because it was at the end of the season and pot bound. It had a little bit of frost, so all the leaves kind of curled up and dying off, but you can see some new growth in here with the warm weather and the rain. I think it's going to rebound just fine. Down here, I cut my empresses down and they are sending up a new shoot. I'm going to go ahead and pick all the side branches off as it goes because I want this to get tall like the one by the barn. I don't need it to branch out yet. Same with this one. These are so nice. They have nice soft leaves, very soft leaves. So you want to be careful because it's a real soft stem as well when you're picking off the side shoots. I'm already halfway out here, so I'm going to go ahead and take you over to my sunflower bed, which is really starting to get some weeds in it. Looking through my tricolored dappled willow, whatever it is, Got one on each corner of the sunflower bed here. And you can see inside all these weeds, I have sunflowers starting. Which is good to see. There's sunflowers speckled all through here. I have a row on the back. They're just starting out. And then I do have some of them speckled in through the centers. It's hard to tell with all the weeds growing up through it, but it's way out here. You can tell my oak tree's alive. But it's way out here. I'm not going to be carrying water. I'm not going to be carrying mulch out here. Anything. These sunflowers are on their own. All I'm going to do is sow the seeds, let it rain, and what happens, happens. Got some shade, Pop? Come on. Well, thanks for coming along with a walk. Thanks for walking around with me to check out the garden today, see what's growing and what's been happening since last week. Got a lot in the ground, and I want to keep records of what I'm putting in the ground so I know when it went in, how long it's been growing, where and what it is. So if you enjoy coming along with me to see what's new happening in the food forest and the vegetable garden and all the different areas I'm growing things this year, you can go ahead and subscribe down below, hit that notification bell, and I'll be notifying you when a new video comes out. Thanks for watching. You can see me and Echo on the next one.